Hello, my name is Cynthia. This is Unit 16 assignment, which requires a presentation to be delivered to demonstrate understanding of human immunity. The presentation will cover the following three sessions. To demonstrate understanding of non-specific defense against disease by describing the first and second line of defense, giving specific examples. And then the second session is to demonstrate understanding of specific immunity by explaining the third line of defense. Example, acquired immunity and sensitive to antigens, the role of different types of immune cells and immunoglobulins. And then explaining self-recognition and tolerance to own tissues and rejection of transplanted organs. And then describing two specific immune system disorder. The third session is to demonstrate understanding of the biology of vaccine by describing the category of acquired immunity, including natural, artificial, passive, and active, and then explaining the immune response to vaccination, including immunological memory, then discussing the concept of herd immunity, vaccination programs, and factors affecting vaccine uptake, and then evaluating the benefit of vaccination. Now, the non-specific defense against diseases is the body's first and second line of defense, which are present from birth and response to pathogens in the same way. So the first line of defense comprises of physical and chemical barriers that covers the body's surfaces to prevent pathogens from entering the body. And these barriers include the skin. So the skin acts as a physical barrier preventing pathogens from entering the body as long as it remains intact. And then we have the mucous membrane, and that lines the respiratory and digestive tract. It secretes mucus which trap pathogens. We have cilia, tiny hairline in nose and respiratory tract that remove particles and also produce mucus that trap pathogens. And then lysosomes are antimicrobial enzymes found in tears, sweat, and saliva that break the cell wall of bacteria, leading to their destruction. And then we have hydrochloric acid, which is produced in the stomach that destroy many pathogens ingested with food or drink. And then we have the second line of defense. So that is the body's second line of defense also includes a variety of non-specific immune responses that recognizes and eliminates any pathogens that successfully evades the first line of defense. And then such defenses include inflammation responses. So this is a localized response to tissue damage caused by infection or injury that results in pain, swelling, redness, and heat. So upon injury or infection, tissue release histamine, which causes the dilation of blood vessels, and white blood cells leak from the vessels to invade the infected tissue. These blood vessels, called phagocytes, engulf and destroy bacteria and then help to heal the tissue. And then another immune response is fever. So when there is an invasion of pathogens, the immune system may release substances that rise the body temperature, causing fever. Now, the elevated body temperature can inhibit the growth of pathogen and boost the immune system response to the infection. And then we have the specific immunity, which include the third line of defense. The body's third line of defense is also known as the adaptive or acquired immune response. This defense mechanism entails the identification and targeting of specific antigen which have been encountered by the immune system previously. Acquired immunity is obtained through exposure to illnesses or vaccination. Following the pathogen's encounter, the immune system establishes a memory of it, which facilitates a more rapid and effective response in subsequent encounter. Then we have the role of different types of cells. So the B cells and T cells are white blood cells that contribute to the third line of defense. B cells undergo differentiation into plasma cells when they encounter an antigen, which secretes antibodies that neutralize and identify specific antigens for destruction. We have the cytotoxic T cells destroy infected host cell by recognizing antigens on their surfaces, while helper T cell activate B cells to generate antibodies and stimulate cytotoxic T cells to kill target cells. B cells and T cells can develop memory cell after infection. These cells stay in the body and respond promptly to resurfacing pathogens. Immunoglobulin, also known as antibodies, are proteins produced by B cells in response to an antigen. There are 5 classes of immunoglobulin, with each class having a different role in the immune response as follows. The IgG is the most common antibodies in the blood and extracellular fluid, providing most of the antibody-based immunity against pathogens. AGA is found in mucous membranes such as the gout, respiratory tract, and urogenital tract, as well as saliva, tears, and breast milk. AGM is the first antibody produced in response to an infection, primarily found in blood and lymphatic fluid. AGE engages in allergic reaction and provides protection against parasitic infection. AGD primarily serves as a receptor on B cells that have not encountered antigen. We have self-recognition and tolerance to own tissue. So self-recognition is the immune system ability to distinguish between the body's own cell and foreign cell. This is crucial for preventing the immune system from attacking the body's own tissue. The immune system recognizes cells of the body as self through protein called major histocompatibility complex, which is MHC molecules, which are present on the surfaces of all cells. Each person has a unique set of MHC molecules, which is why the immune system can distinguish between self and non-self. When self-tolerance fails, it can lead to autoimmune disease, which the immune system mistakenly attacks the body's own tissue. Rejection of transplanted organs. So transplant organs occurs when the recipient immune system recognizes the transplanted organ as foreign and mounts an immune response against it. The main reason for transplant rejection is due to the difference in MHC molecules between the donor and the recipient. The recipient's immune system recognizes the MHC molecules on the transplanted organ as foreign and mounts an immune response against it. This can lead to transplant organ failure and serious health complications. Then we have specific immune system disorders such as rheumatoid arthritis, which is a chronic inflammatory disorder that primarily affects the joints. It occurs when the immune system mistakenly attacks the synovium, the lining of the membranes that surround the joint. This results in painful swelling and over time can cause bone erosion and joint deformity. And then the second one is multiple sclerosis, which is potentially disabling disease of the brain and spinal cord. So MS occurs when the immune system attacks the protective shield that covers the nerve fibers and causes communication problem between the brain and the rest of the body. And then we have the third session, which talks about the category of acquired immunity. We have the, looking at the picture, we have the acquired immunity, which is in two parts. We have the active immunity, and then we have the passive immunity. And with the active immunity, we have the natural and artificial. So as the passive immunity, we have the natural and artificial. So the natural active immunity, this occurs when a person is exposed to a pathogen such as bacteria or virus, and the immune system responds by producing specific antibodies and memory cells to fight off the infection. For example, recovering from chicken pox typically results in lifelong immunity to the disease. And then we have artificial active immunity. This type of immunity is induced by a vaccine, a substance that contains the antigen. So a vaccine stimulates a primary response against the antigen without causing symptoms of the disease. For example, the MMR vaccine provide artificial active immunity to measles, mumps, and rubella. Then we have the passive immunity. So passive immunity is obtained through the transfer of antibodies from an immunized individual to another person. And this is acquired in two forms. We have the naturally passive immunity. This type of immunity is borrowed from another source and it lasts for a few time. For instance, antibodies in a mother's breast milk provide a baby with temporary immunity to disease the mother has been exposed to. And then we have the artificial passive immunity. This type of immunity is short-term and is achieved by transfer of antibodies, which can be administered in several forms as human or animal blood, plasma, or serum, or pooled human immunoglobulin from intravenous or intramuscular use and in the form of monoclonal antibodies. For example, the rabies immunoglobulin is given to a person who has been bitten by an animal suspected of having rabies. And then we have immune response to vaccination, including immunological memory. So vaccine contain antigens which are part of pathogens that stimulate the immune system without causing diseases. When a vaccine is administered, these antigens are recognized as foreign by the immune system and mount a primary immune response. B cells are activated and differentiated into plasma cells, which produce antibodies specific to the antigen. During the immune response, some B and T cells become memory cells, which remain in the body for years, ready to respond if the same pathogen is encountered again. The immune system capacity to respond more swiftly and effectively to pathogens that have been encountered previously is known as immunological memory. Then we have the herd immunity vaccination program and factors affecting vaccine uptake. So herd immunity is indirect protection from infectious disease when a large percentage of population is immune to an infection due to vaccination or previous infection. In a population where many individuals are immune, chain of infection are likely to be disrupted, which stop or slow the spread of disease. The greater the proportion of individuals in a population who are immune, the smaller the probability that those who are not immune will encounter an infection. Vaccination programs boost population immunity to disease like measles, polio, and influenza, common disease targeted by these programs. There are many ways to implement vaccination programs. We have the mass vaccination program, which quickly vaccinates a huge population. We have the routine vaccination, usually of infants and children. Then we have the targeted vaccination for healthcare staff or people with specific condition. Some factors that affect vaccination uptake are access to health or vaccine. If vaccines are not readily available, or if individuals do not have access to health care facility, vaccine uptake can be low. You have the cost of the vaccine. If the vaccine is expensive and if individuals or families cannot afford them, they may not get the vaccine. We have education and awareness. So lack of knowledge about the importance of vaccine can lead to low uptake. Education and awareness campaign can help to increase vaccine uptake. And then we have religious beliefs. Some people may refuse vaccine due to their religious belief. We have safety concern and misinformation. So the fear about vaccine safety, often fueled by misinformation, can lead to vaccine hesitancy. Then we have the benefit of vaccine uptake as protection against diseases. So vaccines stimulate the immune system to recognize and fight specific virus or bacteria. This process helps the body build immunity against disease and pathogens, protecting the individuals from future infection. So this suggests that a lack of vaccination would increase the risk of infection. And then we have eradication of diseases. So vaccination can lead to the eradication of diseases like smallpox. It has also significantly reduced the incidence of diseases like polio and measles, and then also prevention of outbreak and epidemics. So when a large percentage of population is vaccinated, it creates herd immunity. This means even those who cannot be vaccinated are indirectly protected because the spread of the disease is limited. And then we have cost effective. So preventing a disease through vaccination is often cheaper than treating the disease. It reduces health care costs and the economic burden of diseases on family and society. And then we have improved quality of life. So vaccination prevents illnesses, disability, and death from vaccine preventable diseases. This contributes to improve health and quality of life. So in conclusion, the purpose of the presentation was to demonstrate an understanding of non-specific defense against diseases by describing the first and second line of defense, giving specific examples. And the second session was to demonstrate understanding of specific immunity by explaining the third line of defense, example, acquired immunity, and explaining the self-recognition and tolerance to own tissue and rejection of transplanted organ, and then describing two specific immune system disorder. And the third session was to demonstrate understanding of the biology of vaccine by describing the category of acquired immunity, explaining the immune response to vaccination, including immunological memory, and then discussing the concept of herd immunity, vaccination program, and factors affecting vaccine uptake, and then to evaluate the benefit of vaccination. Thank you.